Okay, so first a little bit about EON Reality. We are market leader in augmented virtual reality. The company has been in existence since 20 years. We focus on industry solutions, and we work with a lot of blue chip customers that we'll share with you very shortly. We have both virtual reality and augmented reality solution, mixed reality, as well as traditional devices like mobile, etc. Most of you know what virtual reality is. It's an encapsulated environment. We are totally engulfed. And augmented reality is digital content overlaid on the real world. We have slightly different strategies depending whether we work with governments, academia, or enterprise. And today, obviously, I've got to focus on enterprise. Within government, we work with something we call Human 2.0, and academia with Classroom 3.0, which is a way to revolutionize, essentially, learning. We also set up centers around the world that benefit our industry partners. And sometimes we do centers together with industry partners. And I'll give you a couple of examples. So the first one is from Bologna. So these centers are used to create awareness, understanding, and belief among our industry partners. This specific center is being done as a triple helix collaboration between government, academia, and industry. We have lots of companies in this region called Emilia-Romagna, like Ferrari, Ducati, Bugatti, that are very interested in using augmented virtual reality solutions. So we are using this to create awareness, understanding how this works, demonstrate it, have conferences around the topic, but also implement this tangibly. So this is a very good collaboration. This is the rector of Bologna University, which has 60,000 students. And later on, you'll see lots of industry participants that are joining us. And this has been a very efficient tools actually to deploy virtual reality together. Another example of this type of solution will be presented later on during my presentation. Let's talk about a problem. So the absolutely, I would say, biggest problem today with respect to jobs is the technology disruption. We all know it kills lots of jobs, but it also creates some of the new jobs. So it's a paradox in one way. And our industry partners are telling us that they have currently a growing gap. So the new jobs, the new technologies that they want to deploy, they struggle to find workers with these skills. There's a gap that increases. In fact, the gap will be so big that unless we find an efficient way to retrain this workforce, half of the workforce will be basically not useful for industry, and about a third, half in Japan and a third in the United States. And we see also that the type of jobs are shifting to more non-routine cognitive jobs, and there's lots of examples in management, healthcare, technical engineering, etc. Now, how should you as an industry partner shape your workforce future? There are different scenarios. Some optimists think that you can replace humans with machines entirely. I don't believe in that, and it proved to be a quite dangerous mistake that Elon Musk did with the new factory for Model 3. And he had to scramble and make sure that he brought in the humans for the last mile. And his conclusion of this experiment was that humans are underrated. So the most efficient solution that we believe will be applicable for industry is a solution which we also refer to as the positive scenario, a scenario where we enhance your workforce, Human 2.0. So we create a symbiotic relation between man and machine, and we blend man and machine together, and that is the enhanced human. So rather than be subjugated to by artificial intelligence, we stand on the shoulder of these giant machines, right? Now, how do you do that? In essence, to increase productivity, you have to increase the speed of communication between man and machine, and also link it with IoT, AI, big data. Now, one way to do it, which again I don't believe in, and it's again Elon Musk, is neural lace. The reason, I'm not saying it's not going to happen, I'm just saying it's going to take a long time for practically be able to implement, link the brain of a human with a machine. We need a solution today, and that solution, we believe, entails using augmented and virtual reality to increase the speed of communication between man and machine. And it's a big opportunity, a huge opportunity for increasing profits, increasing productivity. By today, 2.5 billion workers are not supported of any form of IT in their daily work. That's a huge amount of workers. And with our technology, augmented virtual reality, they could get the contextual information, knowledge on the spot, but also we can assure quality and safety by doing so. So how do we do it? We help our industry partners, workers to learn, to train, and to perform in virtual reality. So it starts with the learning part, and I'll show you a quick video on that. So the idea is to make virtual reality usage and creation extremely easy on all levels. Agnostic with respect to which type of devices you can use. So you can use your normal phone or tablet or PC or headset. You can display it in augmented reality and virtual reality. And also the whole process has to be affordable. You cannot spend too much money on expensive software, especially in education. And very important, it has to be self-service, meaning that you can use it straight off with a few touches of the button, but it also allows you to create new things. We have the world's largest library of components with more than 870,000 virtual reality, augmented reality assets. But as you can see in the image there, we can actually create, actually easier than PowerPoint, an application for virtual and augmented reality, which then helps our workforce to learn faster, remember longer, and make better decisions. So now comes the interesting part. So now first you learn, and but it's not enough. A lot of industry activities require training, and companies spend endless billions and billions of dollars to train their workforce. And as they age or there's a high turnover, they have to be retrained. Now, this approach is not your normal training. It reminds me, because I used to work with simulators, very much the same way you train a pilot in a simulator how to safely do an emergency landing, even in the ocean. Now, instead of that, it's workers that work with medical equipment or nuclear power plants or whatever, compressors, even McDonald's kitchen repair. So, and what's interesting is that you learn by doing. So what you actually are training your skills, and every move you make and every step you take, the system, our platform captures that and generates automatically assessment with very accurate prediction of whether you're certified or not for performing those tasks. This training can also be done remotely, and it's very hands-on. So once you learned and once you trained, the next step is to perform, and that's where it gets very, very interesting.
Helps your workforce perform better. This cross-platform augmented reality solution supports workers with real-time contextual data for their day-to-day tasks. Working across platforms, AR Assist supports Microsoft HoloLens and...
Yeah, so we support a range of different solutions. You can also work on a tablet, and you can use this solution to inspect, for example, things that and find out things and mark things that are wrong. A good example, metaphor, is we call it anchor points. A little bit like your yellow sticker on the refrigerator where you ask your husband or your wife to buy milk. The same way we can create those markers. In this case, you can see he's marking up some irregularities, the things that are hazards. And those appear and are visible for the manager. And the manager can then practically go in and call in a repair person, a maintenance person, and that person will go to the spot, find the anchor point, and also find a step-by-step instruction what they need to do. And interesting enough, this and if there's a problem, he can call on help and get remote expert assistance in real time, anytime. So this is what's cool about the whole thing, is that the assets you create for learning can be repurposed for training and then be again repurposed for performing. And we capture also what you did, when you did it. There's a log which helps safety and of course quality assurance. So let's talk a little bit about who's using this. Here are some of our customers. You can see there's a wide range of industries, from aerospace to energy to health science, and covering a lot of... We have more than 450 customers around the world, some of them very big, Fortune 100. And why do they use it? It's simple. It's about money. Cost reduction. This is a slide from a company called Atlas Copco. And they are, it's actually their slide. They've calculated how much reduction in training costs can be achieved. The first example is service technician training using augmented reality versus classical training. And you can see here 92% cost reduction, 12 times faster. The second example comes from virtual reality versus classical training. And the numbers there are 63% saving for oil rig operators. Perhaps even more important is the productivity increase. So there's lots of studies and lots of benefit conducted by independent parties. And if you are interested, we have a whole presentation just around this. But to keep it brief, 34% increase in productivity has been identified by Harvard Business Review by improving this at the first use. So they compared a worker that never is using normal manuals and with augmented reality, and the one that used augmented reality within the first usage increased productivity 34%. So that's very significant. If you look at Boeing, there's an example that they have had 40% increase in productivity and reduced wiring production time by 25%. So impressive figures. Okay, so let's dive into this ourselves. So we've been working for a decade, a little bit longer, with ExxonMobil. And they are looking at a range, both training, learning. They are specifically interested in what I call low probability, high consequence scenarios. And we've seen the consequences that can happen. For example, the BP accident, when the proper training is not available. We also work with the #1 rated airport in the world. This is Changi Airport in Singapore. And they are using augmented reality, AR Assist, for tracking pallets, logistics. More than 600 workers are using this system. And also how to optimally load an aircraft. That's a 3D issue. So that's a concrete example. And they can also use the same components for learning and training. If there's an issue, immediately the worker is connected with a central location where he can get advice and how to solve deviations. Another very tangible example is the ability to work with firefighters. And one problem with firefighting scenarios is that these scenarios historically have been very fixed, very stale. So as a part of the platform, we provide them an ability to create their own scenarios, which aircraft, what type of incident it is, how the parts are broken, where they are, initiate small fires, large fires, etc. And once the whole scenario is set up, then we can also select the type of vehicle they have for the intervention, and those are real vehicles that they have. Go to the check points, understand what they have to do, but also practical, hands-on things like a fire extinguisher and how to prepare the whole operation in advance, etc., etc. So it's and last but not least, it's a matter of assessing those workers. And another quite interesting example, which I think represents the future. You see the tablet on the right there? Yes. So that actually gives a standard operation procedure. So if they don't remember all the 46 steps they have to do for various procedure, either the worker on the side can hold the tablet and see it, or you notice that another worker had glasses. Those are augmented reality glasses that essentially superimposes information so they get data overlay and they can't go wrong. And it also, we use the image recognition to see that it's the right part, as well as that they perform the task properly. And this can also be captivated in, as you see, in a tablet environment. Now, sometimes we work with industry and professional schools to do qualification certification for specific tasks and specific equipment. And here's some example where we do welding, and this is developed, so you can see the workers here. This is the welding spot. This is the welding equipment. And again, every step that he does, we can see assessment, how well he or she has performed. And in this case, it's high realistic, all the steps. We even focused on, what you'll see here when I start welding, or he starts welding, that the thickness of the weld depends on how you hold it and the duration, etc., etc. So a very in-depth application. And of course, this can be covering multiple areas. We have a lot of experience from a range of, we can even do the practical instructions that you have, looking at pieces of machinery. Let me just start. The tools required for doing the various standard operation procedures, and maintenance, repair, operation, etc. And while all the time encouraging if the person achieves certain tasks, but also after the application, looking at what they've done right and wrong through the assessment process. And I show you just one last example. Sorry. So I will show you. This is if you have multiple products, or we work with conglomerates that some of them have offshore platforms. They also work with windmills. You can have a whole range of library of products, even all the way going up to a nuclear power plant or individual cars, what have you. Okay? So let's talk a little bit about the platform and how you do it, because most of the industry partners we engage with have already used virtual reality, and I would say a vast majority before we get engaged are actually quite scared by it. And they discover that augmented virtual reality implementation is a bit like an iceberg. When they go into it, they just see the top of the iceberg. What they don't realize is the bottom. And that's what kills the pilot, and that's where more than 80% of people engaged in pilots in VR don't continue past the pilot. And that's what we have been focusing to solve the problem. And I can simply explain the problem consists of three pieces. One is, how do you get your 3D data in? How do you bring that data to life efficiently, fast, but also allowing people that don't know coding or game engine to do it? And how can you publish this to anything? And that's where EON's strength is. We are able to import more than 120 different data, not only CAD, computer-aided design, but also other data formats, GIS, MRI devices, 360 video, IoT, etc. We bring it to life, and we're going to demonstrate that. Here's the beauty of this. You can use it for training, for maintenance, but also for sales materials. A lot of people are using it. And the people that don't know VR can create the content themselves. And that, I would say, is the single most important component why 41 million people have downloaded our viewer so far, and we have hundreds of large customers around the globe. On the publishing side, it's important to be agnostic. So we support most headsets out there that are developed, large screens environments, but also other type of formats, glasses, AR glasses, etc. And together, the platform also provides import format. We work also with SAP on that. User generation interaction creation, ability to publish this on almost any device. But also you can monitor your workers' user management, the content is being created, and etc. etc. All this is enabled by multi-users. You can have a user and session in multiple locations around the world. It's hosted in the cloud, although you can save what you created also locally. Enables you analytics, and this is analytics on a higher level than you normally talk. So it's a big difference between a test, paper-based test, going back to my simulator example where the helicopter, let's say the pilot wants to do an emergency landing. What you capture in a simulator is not just that he did it or didn't, but exactly where did he go right and wrong. And that's the same level of fidelity that we can provide with our assessment. So we can say automatically that you had an 86% completion rate, and where did you go wrong and what can we do better. And that's hugely important for companies. Connection with IoT and increasingly using artificial intelligence not only for text to speech, so you can put text and automatically convert 23 languages, but also things like image recognition for capturing, identifying objects, etc., etc. And of course, all is wrapped in a highly secure environment. US Air Force, for example, is using us, and they have quite strict requirements. I will do a demo very briefly today. But we focus to do that during the workshop. Today I will just show you a very quick introduction, but I do encourage you that's where the rubber meets the road in the demonstration session, that you join our workshop also.
Welcome again to the AVR platform. Today, we're going to take a sneak peek at our next major release with some new features, a fresh look, and a streamlined user experience. Our focus for this release is easy, effortless, affordable, self-service, and interconnected. Let's go ahead and sign into the platform and get started. Welcome to our library. We can now filter lessons by 3D and 360. For teachers and trainers, creating lessons is easier than ever. Let's start with a 3D one. Educators can choose to browse or import 3D content to get started. Let's first browse. With this release, we have further integrated CG Trader's massive 3D library for even more options when creating lessons. Let's go back though and choose to import our own 3D content. With this release, the AVR platform now supports AutoCAD. Let's import this CAD file to create a new lesson. It's now been converted, and I've added some contextual content. Let's jump into virtual reality and explore this lesson we just created. This release introduces major updates to Virtual Trainer, including this handy first-time user experience walkthrough for first-timers. We can now access all the lesson elements in VR, like voiceover narration and this YouTube video I added. This allows students and trainees to immersively interact with the entire library of 3D lessons created by educators and trainers on the mobile app or PC. Another major update is the 360 module. Educators can now use 360 media to create immersive lessons that are more environmental based. Again, we can choose to browse or import. Let's import this 360 image. We can add contextual information, videos, voiceover narration, and quizzes to complete our lesson. Students and trainees can now learn using 360 lessons either on PC or on a mobile device, creating a truly experiential learning session. Finally, this release also brings major updates to our mobile app, including all these new features and the improved user experience, giving both students and educators easy access to the AVR platform.
Okay, so easy, effortless. You saw how easy it was to create the experience, affordable. First of all, the fee, I will talk more about that, it's $42 per user a month, and you get access to the platform, full platform. Self-service, the fact that you can, in minutes, start creating things, and it's very intuitive. A little bit like uploading, I would say, a YouTube video, but with much more interaction capabilities. And also that once you create an asset, it works in virtual reality, it works in augmented reality and mixed reality and mobile. So that's the effortless aspects that we saw. The affordability aspects, the self-service, important here. The video mentioned AutoCAD, but as you can see in the image to the right, there's lots of different formats that we support, not AutoCAD, but CATIA, V4, V5, V6, Siemens, Pro Engineer, Revit, and many other things. Interconnected, you can see that you can use Creator on a mobile device, on a PC device, virtual trainer on headsets, AR assist on everything from glasses, and you can mix depending on the asset utilization between the different solutions. We also have on top of the platform, inside the platform, a vault, which is a vast catalog of augmented virtual reality applications. Some of them you saw, for example, certified welding or certified things that we can help to train the workforce. The vault contains more than $70 million worth of applications developed with partners, where we offer that to companies as that they can start from the beginning, in addition to developing their own content. So there's also a marketplace that we created. So if a company partner wants to share the lessons and charge for it, that's possible. We have a 7/30 policy, so 70% goes to the creator and 30% goes to the entity that sells it, in this case EON. And there's a lot of things happening here. I'm not going to talk too much about a product, but I'll share just a quick video here what you can do in addition. One thing that's very interesting that I'll show now is that a big problem in the past has been when you try to create standard operation procedure. And this is why many companies did beautiful standard operation procedure for one machine, but then wanted to scale to multiple machines. They failed. That's simple. And this is the same story I've encountered in the last 5 years around the world. So what we've done is that people that do not know how to do VR and AR can very, very easily do this, either with a headset. And so instead of asking him to create animation, I just give them the headset and say, show me. And then he doesn't know VR, but that person knows how to replace the filter or find how to repair the generator in a helicopter engine. And I'll show you a quick example of that. And then the last example you're going to see is a little clip like, let's say, I'll give you an example. Let's say you bought a new Lamborghini and you go to Las Vegas. On the way you get a flat tire and you don't know how to repair the tire. So all you have to do with AR Assist, if your company provides that, is hold that in front of the tires, the physical ones, and it will recognize what it is, and you tell which procedure, and it will show you overlapped what to do. So in augmented reality. Let's have a look.
You can now also record your movement
movements and interactions within the app itself, allowing for more precision when explaining specific details of any object.
So the proper order for disassembling a V-twin engine is like this. You want to start with the camshaft before moving on. So the proper order for disassembling a V-twin engine is like this. You want to start with the camshaft.
This new feature is incredibly powerful for providing step-by-step instructions in their proper order. Also new to Creator AVR, you can forget being limited to one-on-one sessions. With the new collaboration feature, you can now allow others to learn with you through Creator AVR's lessons. With a simple email invitation, 2 or more students or trainees can experience the same lesson at the same time, making it ideal both for group studying as well as instructors looking to teach more efficiently. Lastly, AR Assist brings powerful new features to help your workforce perform better, including improved HoloLens support and Vuforia's model targeting feature, which allows digital twins to overlay with their physical counterparts in real time. Now, your AR Assist routines and instructions can be anchored onto the real-world subject matter itself and viewed through a mobile device or AR headset, opening up new possibilities for vocational training and on-site support. With these new features,
Yes, so here's why this is so important. If we had this webinar, let's say 5 years ago, we would probably provide you with, EON would provide you with a ability to an engine, game engine, and then we will either work with you to develop in a project format, develop the applications that you wish. And that takes a certain amount of time, and that's what we did for the better part of 15 years of our history. And the big problem with that, it doesn't scale, right? Because if a pilot costs 100,000 for a machine, but you have 600 machines, you will be most likely unwilling to multiply that 100,000 with 600 and pay us that amount. So what we've done is, and this process started 78 years ago before to develop the platform. And the platform essentially does most of the heavy lifting and makes it easy. So, and by doing so, we save, of course, a lot of cost for you. We say can make it much, much faster. So we used to say 70% faster, but we discover now that it's more like 95. And of course, the quality what you have is much better because we don't do project work. It's all consistent throughout the platform. Now, oftentimes at this point I get, who's your competition? And I would like to first describe the landscape of augmented virtual reality, which by the way has changed quite a lot in the last 5 years. So on top of this, we have the producers of the new generation headsets, AR glasses, and hardware devices, right? And a typical player there is Microsoft with HoloLens, Facebook with Oculus, Google has invested heavily in something called Magic Leap, HTC Vive, etc. Now, these happen to be our best partners. Why is that? Let me use an example, Magic Leap. Magic Leap spent billions of dollars to develop their hardware, but they struggle with the fact that they don't have any easy-to-use content or lessons for education, industry, knowledge transfer. So they partner with us, and we are very happy to announce, it's not totally official yet, but we are releasing the information very soon that they will use our platform and library for this purpose. But we do the same thing with HoloLens and with the other players. On the bottom here we have game engines, and the major ones are Unity, Unreal, CryGen, and our platform supports all engines, so we are engine agnostic. On the left side we have entertainment, business to consumers, gaming. And in that business, we don't appear because we are not focusing on all of that. They are great companies, but that's outside our focus. Instead, we focus on enterprise and education, and specifically in knowledge transfer. And within that, we are by far the largest and leading company in the world. And there's a larger competitive analysis if you wish to go through that. But that kind of gives you a snapshot of the landscape. So, how do we go to market? And how can we work together? So, depending on where you are in the world, we have made a large effort over the last 5 years to set up a practical physical facility close by you so we can implement solutions, ideally in your native language. So far, what these centers do are 4 key things. One, they enable awareness for companies, understanding and belief of that virtual reality, how it works and what it does, and facilitate the rollout cost efficiently. Likewise, they are able to produce new adapted content if you have some specific needs or services for IP that may be proprietary to you in regards to your deployment. Also, there is a marketplace functionality that, let's say you want to market your product VR applications to the globe. We are present in 70 countries through our platform. And in some cases, if we were to do a center together, we also can offer co-investment in the center if the center can qualify for our programs. For example, to break through a new industry that we haven't been earlier, or to expand, let's say we work with the Air Force, to expand through all the armed forces. So that has to be a compelling business case for us. So we have around 50 centers roughly, and we're targeting 100 in the next 36 months. We have places like Singapore, China. China is growing very, very fast. We have multiple centers there. We work, for example, with China Merchant Group. They are the 4th largest company in China with 7 trillion RMB in turnover. And they also work with logistics. It's a true conglomerate, logistics, and we're working with everything from logistics to banking. But we also work in the developing world. We work in places like Ethiopia. So this is a very clear evidence. In Ethiopia, for example, we've been working with Volvo Group to help train technicians there, sponsored by United Nations. And when our industry partners qualify for centers that we want to do, center of excellency, we can go up to 75% of the investment. These centers can be quite significant, so it includes things like us investing in all the systems, the demo room, all the enterprise platforms required for thousands of workers, the development lab if we need to do new things, and also support upgrades, etc. for 5 years. And a local partner, in this case, a typical industry partner, puts in 25%. So this has a whole business model around it. I'm not going to go through that in detail today, but essentially the way we charge for our product is $42 per user a month. We have a setup fee also and this will be, so all content developed is highly confidential. We can also host this in a very secure way. We work with both Amazon and Microsoft. Now, the center itself can also have a business model. That happens in some industry sectors where we team up, and that could be possible. And in that case, then our industry partner gets 2 return on investment. Number one, that they use it themselves and it benefits, and number 2, that they get passive income. So in this case, when we do those centers and we focus on revenue sharing, all locally developed application intellectual property is obviously owned by our industry partner, but likewise with any projects that I've done, if that happens. But on top of that, they can also make 70% of revenue if they want to resell whatever has been created globally, as well as getting 35% residual revenues from the platform when it's sold through the center. And there are packages. You can start as little as 50,000, 250,000, 1.2 million. Then, of course, some centers we are working with to do national rollouts. For example, in Morocco, they're going to many, many people. Singapore, same thing. And the center oftentimes makes also money. So there's a sustainable business model around this, how the center can generate quite significant amount of funds. Okay, so in summary, what's the key benefits? Obviously, the key benefit here is that you can increase your competitiveness because you increase your productivity, you decrease your training costs, you can lower maintenance, repair, operation cost, you can make your product more attractive by providing this type of support, help use it as a sales assistant. You can also help to recruit new talent that can work in this area. And it's very important to have a digital twin. This is whether you decide to jump on this today or wait, this is inevitable part of your future. And there's also a lot of benefits that you can have in the region. I'm not going to go through that. If the center is creating as a regional center in a triple helix, and as well as the local existing company in this sector. So there's quite a lot on this. With that, I would like to thank you so much for your attention. What I suggest as the next step, if this is interesting, is one, contact us. You can see that and book a one-on-one meeting anytime, or join our workshops. These are workshops where we go really hands-on, and you can test and you can see how it works, and we can go through the needs assessment activities. It was a pleasure to chat with you. All the best, and we'll talk very soon. Take care and bye.